Right, well, hello folks. Back again for another one. Now, oh, I forgot to put out my liquid here. So, I will put it out now. Now, excuse the noise. I'll try and keep this away from the mic, but it's a bit noisy. Right, so, that's just a little top of a bottle. One of those caps. And I just add some hamburger paper. That greaseproof paper. It just saves me always having to look for tops of bottles or jars. And then I just put a little bit of liquid out. Now I normally use the liquid whenever I'm using white. I'm going to begin on the sky first and maybe work on the water next. And then I'll fill in the rest. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to begin. So here we have, this is a 12 by 12 on an extra fine cotton canvas, and it's been pinned to a corkboard. The black area you see is the corkboard covered with just a black cloth for video recording purposes. I have edged it with masking tape, and now I'm ready to begin. I want to put in a greyish, bluish, cloudy sky. Okay. So let's begin with the sky part of it here. So now we get the blues going. A little bit of the black. Now this far too much. Right, need to wipe some of that off. Don't want too much contaminating what I've put down. Okay, so just the latest of coverings for the time being. Now, a little bit of cadmium red in it also. Probably a bit bluer. And the greyness, a little bit of mineral spirits. And a little bit of liquid, and let me see. What do I think of that? A little bit brighter, but too dark. Let me see, a little bit bluer. And a little bit redder. I think I'm okay with this now. So, a little bit more minerals first, just to loosen it up. A little bit of liquid to help it dry faster. Let me see now, just up in here. Boppity-boom, boppity-boom, boppity-boom. And I'm going to have the base of the cloud just along here-ish. Somewhere along there. Okay. Nice and rough. Just don't fill it all in completely. You'll be coming in with some later stuff in a moment. Okay. And let me see. Right, let's get some white into that. A little bit more red. A bit of a lighter. And then coming in here, just helps create textures. Very important that textures are in your painting. Helps create interest, as it were. All right, okay. And I want to put a little bit of a darker one in, just in certain areas. Dancing that around, there we go. And I will leave that for the time being. So what I'll do is I will put in the whiter part of the sky. A little bit of oxide red. I mean, just the touches of it, barely noticeable amount. In fact, I even have too much of it there. So I do. A little bit of red as well. Cadmium red. Alright, that should do it. Now, plenty of liquid here. We can help it move around a touch. Just up in here. Now, staying away from the edges. I don't want to contaminate it quite just yet, so I don't, not quite there at the minute for contamination of it. Let me see, just along here, create a nice little horizon on the cloud, as it were, and then that's just break into this cloud here in certain areas. There we go. Alrighty, I'll brighten that up when the time comes. I think the no, the camera's fine. Camera's okay for the time being. Now, same color. Just this, we're going to create a little bit of a cloud up off in the distance here, just along here. Too dark, a little bit brighter than that. Just along here. There'll be a tree, a line of trees at the back there, and the sun is coming out, so it's brightening the room a little bit. Now I'm going to put the water in. Now, same brushes I was using before, when you want things darker now. A little bit darker, a little bit warmer. Now the paint that I have on my palette here has been sitting there for a few days, so it's a bit dry. So it isn't. I probably should have scraped it off, but I don't like wasting paint. Let me see what that's like. That's nice and dark. Okay, so a little bit of liquid, a little bit of mineral spirits help it move. Okay, now this is going to be a relatively soft gradient as I move up. Relatively soft. I still want some texture in it, but not too much. Okay. Now you have to try and remember to reflect the clouds a little bit here. So I'm just going to be, should have drawn it in actually, but just going to be cognizant of the reflection. And do you know what I have got, folks? I have got the wrong glasses on. That's what I have got. All right, so let's just play this here, and then I'll go and change my glasses. All right. I was wondering why I couldn't see anything. There we go. Oh, there's a painting in front of me. Oh, I can see again. All right, okay. Now let's place in this sky, this cloud, keeping it a little bit warmer than I have there. Come on. Too much, too much. There we go. All of this can be scumbled on later. As long as you get the base coat down, as long as you're happy with that base coat. You should be fine. And dancing it around, not being afraid to dance this brush all over the place. And all that dancing creates a nice abstract form of nice abstract textures. Okay, right. So now I'm going to put in the further tree line here. Now, what should I use? I think I'll use a filbert here. So what we have in the back is a very dull green, is a very greyed out green. Now, I'm just going to use what's on the palette. And let me see what else. A little bit of black in it. Tiniest bit of raw umber. Helps grey out almost everything. A little bit of the blue, cerulean blue, just for coolness purposes. And where am I with that? I think I might be there. Let me see, let me just play here. A little bit darker. And then let's just put it in, and I can mess around with it. Is that too dark? No, I think I'm okay. I'll come along later and darken it if I believe that it's too dark. I stay away from the edges. Oh, need a little bit of mineral spirits in it just to help it move a bit better. Probably need to create more paint, more of the paint actually. Sometimes I'm a bit stingy with the paint, you know. But I don't like wasting things, as it were. All right, and then just to get it in, just to place it in now, put in some darker blues along here and there, and that'll do for the underpainting, at least for now. Okay, now I wish to work on the trees. All right. I'm going to start on the main tree first and establish my overall darkest dark here. Now I'll put a little bit of phthalo green out today because, and I think I'm going to have to put out some more blue. Oh, my phone is going off. I shall be back in a sec. Okay, I think I'm going to put out a few more colors here. A little bit of, I think I'll just begin with the ultramarine blue. I think everything is kind of okay at the minute. All right, a little bit of ultramarine blue. Now, nice dark green here. A little bit of blue in it as well. Tiniest bit of oxide red, just to knock the saturation out of it a touch. With green being, with red being the opposite of green. Now, straight along, let me see, where do I want this to be? I think that's about down about here-ish. All right. Just dancing that about. As you're coming up, staying away from the edges just for the very time being. I don't want too much cross-contamination at the moment. When this dries, it'll dry quite light and matte. So I'll be going over this again. Now, I'm coming up to the area of where it went to put in, of messing around with the edges here. Okay, so I'll actually make up a bit of color before I move on. So to have something to work with. All right, now here we go. Up into here, just see the way that, well, forgot, put a little bit of yellow in it for the little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, just for the edges of it here. All right, okay, just dancing that around, not being afraid of it. No, okay. And for the time being, that will do. Now I want to work on the other ones over here, on this side here. And something in my eye. Give me a second, folks. Anyway, right. Now they are slightly back. They are slightly back. So I'm going to just lighten them with a bit of the sky color. But you probably won't be able to pick it up on camera, the difference, but you will be able to see it in real life. There is a difference. I promise, I promise, I promise. Okay, again, trying to stay away from the edge. Now this tree here is slightly behind this tree, so it again is going to have a slightly lighter, just slightly, a bit of a tone, barely noticeable. But As you see the two sitting together, it is a difference. Now, I'm going to just get a filbert brush and dance around the edges with this a little bit. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Just messing these edges up a touch. I'm not being afraid of them. I'm going to be working. I've just gotten a little tiniest bit of cadmium yellow on the already brush. I'm just going to establish an edge here between these two trees, and that will do for the time being. Now I'm looking at this grass is here off in the distance. It's going to be a raw umber grass. So I do raw umber. And cadmium yellow. Raw umber and cadmium yellow. Tiniest bit of blue in it. And tiniest bit of oxide red. Just the tiniest bit. And I've taken too much, but there we go. Alrighty, now let's establish this back horizon here. And I believe that it should be a touch brighter than that. A little bit of sky in it as well. If you can see it, I'm just using what's already on the palette. Alright, now as I'm coming forward, generally actually it is a pretty well established rule in that sense. Get it a bit more warmer, a bit more saturated as I'm coming forward. But I'm just going to lay this down now as a slight underpainting. And the same up in here, though this is quite forward in the painting. And I will just be going over this almost entirely over it. Alright, okay. Now, let's add the phthalo green here. Let's add this colour to here. Only brighten it up and saturate it with some cadmium yellow. Oops, too much of a little lumpy bit in it. I don't want that. Alright, now a little bit of ultramarine blue. This will be dark. So I'm going for dark here. I want these edges to be pretty darkened as well. Probably even darker than that still. Just along the top here. Just. Okay. A little bit of spirits in it just to help it move. Now let me just check here what I'm doing. Now I'm trying at the minute not to touch the paint here along here. I don't want it entirely no, I don't want it contaminated just yet, so I don't. So, and the same here, this is the reflection of this here. So, just going to be laying it down. Now I want a little bit of warmth in it down at the base here. Just along here, a little tiniest bit of warmth. And this will allow me to come in later and sculpt in all different styles. So I don't know what I'm talking about. Just turn the music up and watch. Anyway, using all the wrong words, folks. Okay, right. Now, I think I'm going to have to force myself to put out some cadmium yellow. Now, in this painting, there's a myriad of greens, and greens can be tricky. They genuinely can be tricky, depending on what you're after. But there's such many different ways to mix greens, and tones of greens, and saturation of greens. Probably the same as any other color, I suppose. But they can be difficult to get it to look somewhat natural. So, a little bit of white in this. So let's just see what we can establish here among us. Alright, okay, now, as I say, I'm coming up into this a little bit. Just trying to create that dull grey up in the distance that you get, you know, that what I'm talking about. Dancing this around, just dancing it about. Trying to keep and create textures. Now over here, bumpity bum. Just trying not to, trying not to create too much of a smooth area. Just dancing about with slightly different tones, slightly different colours. Always going back to the palette, just messing about a bit. All right. Now, hopefully you can see. Now, I just want a few inlets coming in from just for my own purposes here. Just as something different, you know. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Now, let me establish another little thingy-majig just here. There we go. Let's work on this side. Now, pretty much the same green because we're near enough level here. So it's going to be, but I do want a lot of variance. So just lots of different types here. Just bumpity bump bump, bump 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 bump. Trying not to be too cautious. Just being aware of your tones and your saturations as you move forward. Technically, you'd be moving down the painting, but visually, you're moving forward. You're moving towards the viewer. So, let's just keep it at that for the time being. Now, what I want to do is to establish these reflections here. Nice dark reflections here. A little bit of warmth in them. So I'm going to put in some oxide red, a little bit of blue. Right, now what's going to happen here is it's going to mix. As I'm coming to, in fact, what I might do is I will wipe some of it off because I want this to basically come down to the corner. I'll use my other hand. Have it more of a slight gradient there in that sense, as in an angled sense. Okay, so let's see now. Now almost there as far as, and then let's just gently create the leaves or the grasses that are going to be there. All right, okay, now we've got some movement there, now we've got something going. Now, let's add some green here, just help establish an angle going on along here. Small one, small angle, nothing too big. All right, okay. Now, I want to mess around with these edges. I'm going to do this with a filbert. Just mess around with these edges. Just gently softening them. Probably a bit darker than that, a little bit warmer. And I do want the edges to be a bit brighter than the center of it, but for now, let's just mess around with the edges. So let me see what is happening to me. Okay, bit brighter down in here. Just creating that gap there that you see in the non-reflected one. Again, just keeping it all nice and abstract. Now, dry brush. That's all this is. Dry brush. Just barely touching it. Just creating that downward motion to give the idea of the reflection. And when the time comes, I shall come along and darken the areas along here. Okay. Now, how do I feel about letting that be as an underpaint? And I think I'm okay with it. Let me just establish this boyo up here. And dum-ba-da-boom. I'm unsure. Right now, let me see. I want these clouds to go off the painting. Just a bit here and there. Nothing too much. So I have a slate over here. I don't want to get it too contaminated, but that'll do for the time being. Just use what's here and bring it up into it here. That's somewhat sharp edges on it whenever the time comes. I am happy enough, I think. I am happy enough with the this here, with this part of the clouds. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently take a smoother to it. You still see the texture. I'm just taking the edges off it just a touch. So yeah, just a touch. All right, okay, feeling a bit better about that. I think that'll do for the time being. It is no, not quite yet. Not quite yet. Let me see, where is my other brush? So now I've got the blue out. I'm just going to establish the blues in here. Now I'm going to take a whole lot off this brush, not entirely clean it, but taking a good bit off it and then spreading that around. It gives a nice cool impression. All right, a bit of a distance there. Now, as for the I'm just thinking, folks. Let me see. I think I want to bring this in a bit here, just to get a nice turn over here. So when you're looking, you're coming up like so. All right, I'm going to do that. In which case, I need to reflect these trees into it. So that'll be a bit of a darker tone in there, somewhat. Just about to there. All right, and then bring up and bring this in just a touch. There we go. How's that now? Yeah. I think that's fine. Now there is also something that I want to put in here, and I want a bit of a broken brush for this one. And these are good wee brushes, the expensive ones. Rosemary & Co. Series 279. So I'm going to have this here. Probably a bit too bright, but too not bright. Too saturated. Right. Okay. Along here. Now, I'm going to be. I'm just establishing this for now. And this will be the grasses. Tiniest bit of liquid in it, or mineral spirits in it. Okay, now we have something there to work with. Right, I think that will do for the time being, folks. Lots of textures, lots of sharp and soft edges here and there, wherever it is required, and then I'll come back. Now this is still, you have to remember, this is just the underpainting. So I'll come back and finish it off when it's dried. Most likely tomorrow, or for me it could be in 3 weeks. But anyway, see you all soon enough. Bye for now. Okay, folks, now back to this one. Right, I want to start up in this area, and I want to create some slightly sharper edges in this. Now, there's 2 ways I could do this. I could come in with the cloud color, or I could come in with the whiter sky color. I'm going to come in with the whiter sky color and cut into the tree a little bit and cut into the clouds a little bit. Okay, so just a small brush, a small flat brush is what I'm after. A wee bit of dancing about here. So let's see now, let's get ourselves rightly set up here. Is the lights all on, everything? Oh, change of glasses. Got to do that. In fact, I think I'll maybe clean them there a bit. They are a bit misty. Right. Okay, so we can get ourselves this and see what comes of it. Just a touch of oxide red. That's all. Just a small amount. A little bit of yellow in it. There we go. Oh, I forgot to put out some liquid, folks. Just give me a little momento. Right. Put out a little bit of liquid. There we go. Well, tiniest bit of cadmium red, and just enough to make it glow a little bit, or with a little bit of pinkiness in it. Okay, there we go. So let's get into the center of this. All right, that's very close to the original color and tone. That's very good. Okay, I'll cover this up. Just staying away from the edges for the moment. I will cut in and create the edges in a second. Just covering what I have here. Okay. Now let's begin cutting. Hold on. Not quite yet. Let me just create this area over here. That's nice. Alright. And let me see. Right, so now I'm going to start cutting into the clouds and whatnot. I still will, by the way, I still will bring in some cloud into it as well. cloud color into it as well. So let's just dance it around here, folks. We're right across the edges here. And a little bit of a deeper color at the base here, just along here. Look at that. All right. Now, I really don't want to do too much more here. Maybe you cut this across, just dance it a little bit along here. And then up in here. See the way that creates those sharper edges? I think maybe, just for compositional purposes, just open this up a little bit more here. Yeah, okay. Now, obviously I'll have to do the same here, but because this is in the water, it'll be a touch softer than what's up here. And I'll tackle that in a moment. And I'll tackle this just while I have it in my mind. Just this bit of the water here. And that's that reflection, this reflection here. And I'll just take a bit of that off. Okay. Right, so now I want to work on the tree here. Cut a little bit into the tree. And here. Just. And here. And just bringing it in. A little bit darker. Tiniest bit darker. Because it's being filtered through the leaves. So it's going to have a darkness to it. Now I will be coming in with the edge of the tree color. So I'm not going to be too careful with this, just creating edges for myself, just to see. As I say, this will all be, well, that'll be covered up, as it were. Right, now let me see, where are we? Right, I think I will bring in some of the tree color just to get myself a bit established here. So a little bit of yellow, a little tiniest bit of blue, just to create a nice, I want a cool blue as well, a little bit of that cerulean. Now it's a bit too much, and just knock it back a bit with the oxide red. That'll help grey it out a touch. So let me see where we are here. Right, okay, I need more. I'm being stingy with the paint again. I need to be able to move the paint. I'm just being a bit stingy. A little bit of raw umber, just to knock that saturation out of it a little bit. So let me see. Let me see how colorful this is. All right, coming up into the sky here. I don't want it to be too bright, and I'm just very cognizant of how bright this is. Trying to make sure and maintain those sharper edges. Okay, now I'm going to scumble it on so it looks, I'm going to, from this point backward here, I'm going to scumble it on so it looks as if it's a bit of a gradient. This area needs darkened as well, and a bit more scumbled into it. So I'm just going to take a little bit off the brush and just gently mess around here. And I'm leaving these cracked bits here, these bits here that show a little bit of the canvas underneath. I'm going to leave that there. All right, now what I will do is I will darken the base of this here. So a nice dark, warmish, because the sky is cold, I'll make it a little bit warm, make the base of this just a touch warm in temperature. So let's see. That's nice. Yes, just get this Get this covered, and I'm scumbling it on. Just really pushing that into the canvas there. Dance that about, folks. Dance that about. Now, let's come in again with the other one. Just give me this. Okay, so with this other color, and just create a gradient here, a slight gradient moving into the center of the tree. Okay, now, oh, somebody's at the door. Only be a second. Right, okay, now, I want to cool some leaves in here, a nice cool blue, or sorry, a nice cool green, a little bit of that phthalo, tiniest bit of yellow, and some black. I want it to be quite dark, barely noticeable, just probably a bit more noticeable than not. Kind of, if you're going to see it, you have to see it, isn't that right? Okay, a little bit of white also helps cool it as well. A little bit of liquid to help it move. Now let me see. Yeah. Now you're not really going to see this. You might, but well, it's going to be hard for you to see. It's very close to the tone of this here, but it is noticeable. I promise you it is. Right, okay. Now, back to the sky. Cutting into this a little bit of back and forward today. Just cut in a little bit, and then here a little touch, and just here. Now I'm going to create some, let me just see this here, a little bit more in here. All right, okay. Now, I want to get a small brush out, just to create some holes, some tree holes here. And I'm using what's down already is slightly wet. So this will be mixing with it and darkening it on the canvas rather than darkening it on the palette. And then whenever you put the first dab down, it'll most likely be quite bright. And that's okay. And I will soften it in a moment or two. It'll just be a gentle softening. And I don't want to do too much, but I want a couple of big bright ones. That's very obvious. Like so. Just one sitting right there. Okay. I just want to put in a little bit of a tree trunk. Try not to be too bright with it. And just check here. I think that's fine. Okay. It's already wet, so it is blending with what's down, and that's good. That will do. And a little branch off here, and maybe one up along here. Now, a little bit brighter, just down to one side of it. Just along here. barely noticeable. It still helps create that sense of three dimensions. All right. I'm going to work on this back row of trees here. A little bit of a filbert. That's all, just a filbert brush. And this is a short filbert, and it's a Georgian from Dale Rowney, size 6. So we're in the back here, so blue greens, cool blue greens. I'll put some sky in them as well. So let me see. A good grey. A little bit of red helps grey it out. A little bit more sky, tiniest bit brighter. Okay, now let me see. I'll just play around with this for the time being. Probably a bit more misty is what I'm after. That's a bit better. Yeah, feeling a bit better about that now. Okay, so now I'm just creating some distant shapes here. And a little bit down here, and then I'll just come along with the dark blue and just finish that part, this part of the painting off. So a little bit of dark blue here, with a bit of mist in it as well, but certainly blue. Let me see, that's okay. I don't like this. See this area up here? I'm going to get the sky color made up, or the cloud color made up, and fix. Oops, it is. And fix that up. Right. Okay. So a nice grey violet here, and a little bit of the brown to it, a little bit of the raw umber, really knocks the saturation out of it. Okay, so let me see, that's too dark. Too dark. And this is just at the edges of this here. Still too dark. Just, yeah, that's better. Exactly the tone and color that I'm after. Right, now that takes a bit of practice, folks. This exactly covers it here. Right, so let me just see here. Just playing, don't, as I said, I'm not that keen on the way that finished. There. I can come up into this, create those sharper edges. Let me have a wee look at that. I think I'm okay with that. Don't like the way ends just abruptly here at the cloud. I want to make it look as if it's, or at the tree, sorry. I want to make it look as if it's going in behind the tree. Okay, just for a little bit of shape here. And might as well just create more sharp shapes along here. All right, so let me have a wee look at that. Yes. Good for now, good for now. And I'm having a wee look at this tree, at the edges of it. I want some soft edges and I want some sharper edges. But what I definitely want is to cover this part here up. A bit of canvas showing through. Don't want that. Why would you want that? There we go. Right. So let's continue to work on this set of trees over here. So yeah, nice darkish green. Grey green too, by the way. Grey and cool. Let me see, I think that's a bit too saturated. I need a bit more of it. Oh, that's a very vibrant green. Let's knock that back a touch. And a bit more umber in it. A little bit of black, a little bit of ultramarine blue. Just having a wee look at for myself here. That's okay. Sorry, maybe a bit more red. Yeah, okay. All right. Now, a good blue up in the corner of this here. Definitely a strong bluish. Cool as well. A little bit of the sky in it. Just along here. Create that darkness in there. Probably a bit darker than that, maybe. A little bit of black in it. In that dark blue. Okay. Now let me see this. Okay, now let's work. I might as well do this here before I start working on the highlights. Might as well just slightly more forward than this one, so slightly more saturated. Maybe, yeah, I think that's fine. Slightly more saturated. But only just, folks, only just. All right, now I want to put on the highlights at the edges here. It probably needs to be a bit brighter than this. Yeah, I think it does. I think it needs to be a touch brighter. Too bright. Okay now, just dancing that brush around, folks, creating those edges. Those abstract edges, I will say. Right, now a little bit more yellow for this one, slightly more saturated. Let me see now. Let me see. Just mess this up a bit, folks. Just mess around with it. Racking the edges of it. Let me have a wee look at that. Now, what do I think of that? What do I think of that? At the minute, I'm not too pleased with it. Well, I'm not too far away from it, though, to be honest. I think it just needs a bit more blue, just to separate. I'm just going to work this in, just to separate these two. Just going to use this directly on the palette here. Let me see. A little bit of that cloud colour, just along here. Keeping it cool, folks. Keeping it cool. Right, okay. I'm just going to leave that for the time being. No, I'm not. Do as I say, not as I do. Isn't that right, folks? Oh, goodness me. I don't know about other artists, but there are times when you come across something and it gives you more hassle than you think it should. You know? I mean, it's just a small bunch of trees in the corner here, and it's given me a bit of hassle, more than I believe that it should be giving me. I felt I should have finished this a couple of minutes ago. Anywho's, let's see with what I can do with what I have here. Okay. Funny that, isn't it? Yeah, I'm feeling a bit better now. I'm moving on to feeling a bit better with this one. And then just here, having a little bit of an outgrowth here on this one. And up along the top, making it a little bit brighter. Just a touch, barely noticeable. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that as is. And I'll come back and have a wee look at it at a later date. So, let's continue to work in this area here. Let's just create this distant landscape, distant grasses here. And we'll see. Now, not too sharp of an edge. Yeah, probably a bit brighter than that though. Bit more orange, bit more red in it. Help grey that green out a touch. And put in some of the sky, just to brighten this a little bit. A wee bit more saturation as we're coming down, and I'm just scraping this onto what's there, so it will leave a little bit of that underpainting popping through as I'm just scraping it, no more. I want the base of this to be soft. We're off in the distance. Don't want to see any detail along there. Now, let's get ourselves a slightly saturated green. slightly more saturated than this. And start laying this down. Now let me see what it's like here. Is that bright enough? I think it is. I think it is bright enough, but only just a little bit brighter. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And just dancing this brush around, leaving a lot of that underpainting behind. This is going to leave a lot of texture. A little bit darker up in the back here. Okay. So let me see now. Just resting my hand on my hand, like so, because the bottom of this painting is dry. So it gives a wee bit of a bit stabilizing effect. Okay, now I want a different approach here, so I do, and here as well. Just let me bring this out just to see what it looks like. Okay, yes. So I'm going to get the fan brush out. I want to try something. I want a smallish fan brush, if I have one. I'm not sure if I have one. Give me a second. I'm just going to hit the pause button here. Yes, I found one. So I'm going to put in a little bit of a red grass in here. Just in there, just as a, just for the sake of variety too, folks. That's important. Variety in these paintings is important. I'm going to take a good lot off this because all I'm doing is just putting this in here. Now let me see, that's a bit too in your face, I think. So let's really knock it back a bit. Let's create a grey-green for underneath that. Let me see, just in here. And then I'm just going to drag this up into here. Look at that. Right, now a bit of a darker patch underneath it, just to sell the idea that it's just sitting here. Is that too dark? I don't, no, it's not too dark, not quite yet. A little bit of blue in it. That's good. Just creating a shape here is all I'm after. And you see, this is why I'm not that keen on fan brushes for me. I'm not that keen on using them. Right, okay. So I'll use something else here. Right, okay. That's all right. So what is it? Happy with that. Just leave it for the time being. A little bit of phthalo green in this. Okay, and then just creating that, just hiding that a little bit, just the base of that, just a touch. All right. Just pop, 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 creating all that different texture over here, of which I will need to put in slightly darker grasses, just slightly darker areas here. Just dancing, oh, a little bit of errant hair on the brush. So some blue and raw umber, just to darken that green down. And again, just dancing this around, creating all that texture. Now I do think maybe I would like it a bit brighter. Bit brighter. Just staying away from the dark areas that I just placed down there. Okay, right, all right. Bit of a slightly larger round brush here, and this is a Da Vinci size 4. That's all that is. So, a bit of a darker area here. This is the moving into the water, not quite, just at these reeds here. There's going to be some reeds there, so slightly warm. A little bit of liquid. And let me see now, just creating this, the sense of reeds along here. And I don't want to cover this up, as it were. I just want some reeds, that's all I'm after, just in here. The sense of these reeds. Okay, all right. And we have a reeded area here. Now I'm going to add some color to this, some bright reds actually. Excuse me. I think I'll wash this brush. I think I'll use the same brush. I'm just going to wash it off here. So let's get ourselves a good reddy orange, mostly red. And the oxide red in it too. Just darken it down a touch. Now let's see here. We can get ourselves in some nice reds, just along this embankment here. Okay, and then maybe I'll have a few more down in here when the time comes. It'll just remind me to put it in. In fact, you know what, I'll work on this one now. So, moving forward here into this one. Now, bit of a cool green down here, just the you know, it's kind of being the shade of this, so it will. So that'll cool it just a touch, so it will. Using the edges of the brush here just to create grasses, scraping it up into this. Okay, and let's get the darker area on again. Back to the Da Vinci brush. Yeah, this is just a game of balance here now, folks. That's all that's happening. A bit darker around the base here. And then dragging that down into it. This is a little outcrop of grass there. I just seen something that I would like to change. I want this to be more obvious of a transition. Just dance that brush around, folks. There we go. A little bit brighter there. Yes, that's a bit better. Happy, much happier with that now. Okay, so let me see here. You know, I'm not happy with this. So, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to slightly darken this area down a bit so that I can play with it a wee bit more. These reflections need sorted out anyway, so this does no harm here. All right. Right, okay. So now I will use the little fan brush again. Let me just see here. Yeah, okay, look at that. Isn't that better? Creates a nice little area there. So I want that red again. I'm just going to play with it a little bit here, just boom, 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 and then boom, boom, boom. All right, okay. This is just being a bit refined here is all. Right, okay. Now, what I think I'll do, what time, okay. I think I'll take a break here, folks. And I'll be back when, just to continue this one. And I'll see you all very, 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 very soon. Well, hello, folks. Right, now I'm just having a wee check around things. I had to do a bit of a shift in here and there for something. But anyway, right. Now, back to this one. So I'm going to slightly brighten this, scumble a little bit of a brighter area in here. And that should leave a nice warm rim around this light. So it should. Okay, so that's where I'm beginning. Oh, changing my glasses. Going to change my glasses. All right. Now, let's just brighten this a touch. So, some white. I'll shift this up a bit here. Okay, some white. Now, a touch of yellow. Just the touches of yellow. And then some liquid there. And taking a good bit off the brush. Okay, nice and gentle. In and around the tree here. But not going towards the edges. Going to work that in with my finger a little bit. Now, you can't see that on the camera, yes. So just a little dibs and dabs, at least for now. Dibs and dabs and dabs and dibs. And just working that around, folks. And that should leave some nice warm edges. Once I get my finger involved. Okay, so up and around here, just smoothing out that lightened edge. Look at that. Now, don't worry about the tree. It's an easy fix. In fact, I'm going to get onto it now, actually. A little bit of raw umber, tiniest bit of black, some phthalo green for that cool green, a little bit of cadmium, and a little bit of ultramarine blue. And help darken it down a touch, and a slight touch of liquid. So now, just back to here again. It's a bit too dark, so brighten it up a touch. A little bit of cadmium yellow. A little bit more. Just want to get these edges all nice and leafy and greeny and bitty and whatnot. Alright, now let me see here. Now that's a bit too much of a straight line. So that may just fill it in certain areas. A little bit more brighter in there because the light is shining through. So just a little bit brighter yellow. There we go. And alright, happy enough with that now. Now I want to brighten these edges a touch. So a little bit of yellow. Just taking a little, let me see, that hasn't brightened it very much. A little bit more, tiniest bit of white. Just the tiniest bit. And all I'm doing is just creating these edges here. Making them nice and scraggly, I believe is the real terminology. Scraggly. There we go. Now, I just want to work this edge in here. Just make it blend a little touch. Just the odd bit here and there. Okay, for now, I'm going to let that be. Let me see now. I want to work on this back line of trees here. I want it a bit more apparent, a bit more blue, a bit of a blue-grey going on here. So what greys out a blue? A good orange greys out a blue. So let me get some. Now, here's the thing, folks. You can create the orange by itself, which I didn't do there. I started with the blue. Or you can create the orange within the colour. You know that red and yellow make an orange. But I put the blue down first. And by doing so, it didn't create an orange colour, but I know the orange is in it. And I think that's just by experience, is all. And if you want to grey out a blue, you can always use raw umber. Helps grey out a blue. And black helps grey out a blue too. And I want some light blue in this here as well. And that light blue has turned it a bit too green for me, for my purposes. Okay, a little bit of white, a little bit of the sky in it here. There we go. Now I want to see what this is like. It is just a half a tone darker, which is kind of what I'm after. Just a half a tone. Just a bit too much on the brush, folks. I just want to scumble this on. Let me see. Yes, that's a bit better. I think so. A little bit more now in the distant yellow of it. Let me see. I don't want to be too bright, folks. I'm a bit happier with that. It's slightly more apparent. Now, as you see, I'm just moving across the thing here. Now I think, am I going to move this up? I think I maybe move this. I don't know. But I want to work on this one here. I want to grey the back one out a little bit more. Now that's way too bright. Let me get a bit of a cloth here. Way too bright. Okay. And that is just about not bright enough. This is a game of dancing back and forth, folks. So it is. I kind of want you to see that that is... Oh, a bit of an alarm going here. Back in a sec. Okay. Right, back to it, folks. Now, let's just blue this one up a little bit. Just at the corners here. Just at the edges. There we go. Let me see. Keeping a nice rough edge on it too, folks. All right. Now this one forward here, should I? Am I happy? No, I think a little bit more saturated. A little bit more saturated. Just a little bit. I'm just dancing this brush around, trying to create all the different shapes that's within this. Let me see. I'm just having a moment to myself, and I'm just going to knock it back just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just soften that up a touch. All right. For now, anyway. Everything is subject to change. Now, what do I want to do about this? Do I want to take this up? Give myself a bit more room? I think what I'll do... I don't know. Let me see what it looks like. Okay. A little bit of red in it. Well, this might be a bit too grey, but it's fine. It's okay. It's a bit too dark, but it's okay. And just letting you see that trail off there, and then it'll head up and towards the clouds, just setting you up like so, just coming up and boom. Okay, yeah, I think I'll just leave that nice and rough. Yeah, I'm happier with that. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this area here, for the time being at least. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to darken this, just glaze this area a touch. A little bit of black, a little bit of oxide red, a little bit of blue, ultramarine blue, and a good bit of liquid. And just taking a lot of it off the brush, because this is just all I'm after here is a wee bit of a scumbling, wee bit of a glaze, sorry. That's all. I will paint in here, but I'm not happy with the shape of this. So I will be painting in there, just to change the shape of it. which I'm kind of doing now with a glaze. Let me see this here. Let me see this here. Okay, yeah, that's a bit better. Happier with that, folks. Happier. And let me see the edges on this. Okay, not coming directly to the edge. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to glaze on a bit of a yellowish edge on this. Or not a yellowy, what am I talking about? A bit of a greeny bright, and it's just going to be messed about here like so. And we're down in the water here, so the edges are going to be a little bit softer. But I'm going to lay this down first, and then I'll put down the all the leaf edges and whatnot. La 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 la. I wouldn't be lonely. All right, so let me just have a wee look-see here. Happy enough? Now what I want to do is put in the grasses here, and you'll see what I mean. I'm just going to the grass reflections, just placing them in, and then I will make them look like grasses in a second. Just a little bit of a hair there, trying to get rid of it. Okay, now just making that look like grasses there, reflected grasses. And that does indeed do it. Maybe a bit brighter though. Just the bases of it here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I'm a bit happier with that. Now this tree here, I'm not too happy with it, so I'm not. So let us fix it and see what we have here. Living from day to day, chasing a dream. Okay, a bit better, a little bit more of a one in the corner here, but barely noticeable. Just in here. Okay. Now what I do want to do, where's my, I'll use this brush. I want to darken this up a little bit, just a little bit. Just in here. And too much on the brush, so I'll just take a good bit off. that's not bad. Now that leaves me with a nice soft transition as well. So it does. Yes. And to my eye, at least, it looks a little bit further away. Right, so what I'm going to work on is these grasses here. Now, what I need for this, I don't have. What I need is I don't have. Let me see. Let me see. Where are my dagger brushes? What did I do with them? Oh. Right, okay. I'm going to try this one. I haven't used this one in a while. If not, I've got another one sitting here to try it. So let's see. This is a 1/4 inch Rosemary & Co. Shiraz sword. Okay. So let's see. Now I'm going to put a lot out because there is going to be a fair amount of grasses here. So let me see. Oh, a bit too much on the brush, for sure. So let me see. Too globby. Yeah, I'm unsure. Too bright. I don't know if this brush is going to work for me or not. I hope that it does. I don't think so, no. I think it's too, I think the edge of it is a bit too, it's too messed up, I think. I do like messed up brushes, for sure I do, but sometimes they can become a bit too messed up. Although, I'm kind of okay with this. Kind of working for me. Let me see. You can just mess about here for a moment, folks. See. Nah, that's not as refined as I was hoping it for it to be. I think I'm going to need to buy myself a few more. I'll use this. This is just a Aquafine rigger brush, size number 2 from Dealer Rowney. By the way, I don't get paid for this, so I can just say it without having to worry about it. A bit too thick. I think my next trip here is to go straight in and buy some Rosemary & Co. brushes. I don't have refined enough brushes here for myself. Right, so just getting a dry fan brush and just working that in a touch, and that should work there. Right, okay, I'm going to try the fan brush here. Bit dark, bit bright, but okay, it's not so bad though. It's not too bad. Right, okay. I think this grass up here needs darkened a touch. little bit of blue in it. Ultramarine blue. Okay, let's see here. Yes, that's a bit better. Yes. I hope it's not too dark. I think it's a bit too dark. There we go. Right now, I'll get myself a dry brush. Just scrape this through. There we go. The same here too. There we go. Now, I am going to brighten this area here a little bit. Just a little bit. Well, maybe not just a little bit, maybe a fair bit. Let me see. What should I brighten it with? A nice green. Well, of course it's going to be a green. Just the touches of everything here, folks. Now, I'm taking a good bit off this brush, and I'm just going to fumble in just a little bit, scumble in just a little bit here and there, and these highlights will make this pop in this area here. Look at that, nice and rough, folks. Just keeping that roughness in it. It certainly has brightened it a bit. And as I say, just dancing this brush around. La 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 da 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 do. Right. Now some areas there just need to be slightly darkened. It's the game that we're playing here, folks. This is a game of balance. That's all. You put something down and it affects everything around it. So you have to fix everything around it. Sometimes it's almost like a game of whack-a-mole. Until eventually you get it right. Till eventually it's not a game of whack-a-mole. Just a bit heavy on the darkness there, and I think I'm going to leave that for now. I think that's fine. Okay, now I want to work on this side over here. So, just an old beat up brush. This is a cheap, really cheap brush. Nothing to be writing home about here. I'm just going to scumble on a bit of a brighter yellow up in here and get a little bit of a hill going just up here. And I'm scraping this on just so that I can leave behind some of that background. Now, just dancing this on, folks. A lot of leaves, or sorry, not leaves, blades of grass are coming over this. So just going to leave that Just going to leave that nice, and I need to work on the water before I come up into it a little bit here. So I do. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to almost entirely wipe that off. Just knocking that back, just the touches of touches. There we come up at the base of it here. There we go. Right, I want to work on the water. Which I think I'm relatively okay with. And just to get this area in here fixed, and I'll probably end up doing the whole thing, but okay. Now, I need to see what this is like. Going to try this on the paletto. Oh, way too cerulean-y bluey. Way too cerulean-y bluey. So I want some more ultramarine. Make it ultramarine-y bluey. Boom, 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 boom. Bit better. Not dark enough. Not grey enough as well. A little bit of grey in it. A little bit of the orange in it. Not much. Ah. Almost a match there. Trying to stay away from these edges here, folks. Don't want it all getting too dirty. Okay, now as I'm moving up, I'm getting a little bit brighter. There we go. Nice and bright. I just work all this in together. Try and get that nice blend going. Alright, so let me see. Now, I just need to concern myself with this one down here. So a bit of a darker, I'm going to do a little bit of a darker blue down here. A little bit of red in it, of course. A little bit of the black in it. And then some white, just pulling it out a little bit. Let me see. Oh, that's a perfect match. I mean, that's right on the button now. Look at that. You can't even see what I'm putting over it. It's the perfect match. But I'm going to have it a bit darker in here. Just in here, just a touch. Or more than a touch. There we go. Along here, I want to see this reflection here. I'm darkening the area around it because I want it to be a bit more poppy. Again, another technical term, poppy. Anyway, there we go. Let's put this down. All right, so let me see now. Now we've got our poppy going on. A little bit of white in this mixture. There we go. Wonderful. Very nice. back and forward, folks. Just messing around with it. You know, just taking in that edge now. Now, I'm going to go over it with a little bit of a darker one just over here. Just down in here. Alright, now I will be coming in a second to kind of sort that reflection out a bit. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work this in, and no, I'm not going to do it with my fingy. I'm going to do it with a dry brush. So I am. There we go. Just gentle, just a gentle movement, folks. Nothing of any serious movement here. There we go. Nice and dark in the corner, get a slight vignette going on. Dark in this corner, dark here, dark in this corner, and dark up in here. A little vignette, kinda, and this water points you right towards things, and it's turning out rightly, as they would say. Turning out rightly, old boy. Now, I want a bit of a, no, I'll use this brush. The touches of touches, folks. The touches of touches here. Okay. Now, what do I think? Is that too bright? I think it's a bit too bright for where it is, folks. It's a bit too bright. And kind of grey it back a touch with a little bit of blue in it. A little bit of the tree colours and the colours around it, as it were. And I still think that's too, I haven't tried it, but I still think it's a bit too dark. No, look at that. Me being wrong, eh? That's fine, that's good. Happy with that. A little bit of oxide red and just to warm that up a touch. There we go. Oh, look at that. Wonderful. Wunderbar. Now, staying away from the edges. Just don't want them to get too dirty at the minute. I will be working into them in a second. Now let me see. Okay, a little bit more. Now, just coming out here now, just to meet what's going on here. If you look up here, just to meet that there. And because it's in the edges, because it's in the water, sorry, it's nice and soft at the edges. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. There we go. Now, the tiniest bit of warmth in it for down here, down at the, or I suppose as far as the paint is concerned, it's up in here. Just a little bit warm here, just creating that band of light along there. Now I'm kind of taking a look at this and I think it's all a bit bright, but I don't think it's too bright. Let me see. Let me just take some of it off here. Just bring out that background a touch. And the same up in here. There we go. Aye, now that has dulled it back, pulled it back a little bit. So now what I want to do is to get myself a nice little small brush. I maybe have to wash one here. Yeah, I think I will wash one. Okay. Okay, and now, oh, do I go into it with the thing or come? Here's a question: do I go into it with the water or with the white cloud into the reflection of the trees, or do I come out over the top? I think I'll come out over the top because I already have it all sitting here. I just maybe need to darken it a touch, but at the minute I'm okay with that. And I get this wee hump going on here. It's a bit too bright. All right, now I just want to make sure these edges are not too sharp. Okay. Right, so I think at the minute I'm going to take a little break and I'll come back and finish this off soon enough. Probably when it dries, most likely. I think actually before I do go, where is my little brush here? My little fan brush. A little bit of warmth in this. And just coming up from here. I think I lighted this a little bit too much for my liking. Just a little bit too much for my liking, folks, is all. And back in here, just creating that slight reflection of the grass that I am already planning on putting in here. And in fact, I'm going to put in a little bit of it now. There we go. Oh yes. Now once I get in and blast, oh look at that, I've left some, I have left some of the canvas, too much of the, I don't mind some canvas showing through, but a little bit too much of the canvas showing through. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, right, and that'll do for the time being. And whenever this is dried, I'll be able to push up a lot of grasses up into it and create other types of grasses. And I might just go and buy myself a couple of brushes that are relevant to that. I'll see you all again soon enough. And bye for now. Okay, folks, going to tackle this one now. Right, so let's see what we are. I think I'm maybe lighten the sky a little bit up and lighten the clouds just a touch. I think it's taken a little bit away just from the brighter area here, but we'll see. Maybe just lighten this area of it here. Put a bit of saturation into it, but we'll see. I'm not there yet. Right, so let us continue with this. So I'm going to work on this area here. And all I'm doing here, all I want is to create a bit of distance or the idea of distance, the impression of distance. And between this line of trees and the viewer, it's a good distance away. So that green that's going to be out there is going to be a little bit grey, a little bit desaturated. Let me see. Yeah, that's good. And maybe a bit more, slight more. Too much. I'll put a little bit of raw umber in it. Don't want to darken it too much. Okay. There we go. Let's get a wee bit of a plane or two along here. I'm not going to go crazy on this. Just little blotches of it here and there for texture. That's all. Just the idea that something else is back there. A little bit of rolling hills, as it were, rolling fields. Now this area here, it's very sharp. Look at that. So let's take a little bit more of the saturated stuff that's on the palette, bring it up, and just take away that edge. Just taking away that edge there, bringing it in a little bit, making that a bit of a better division there. And then just going to rough up this edge, just a touch, with a little flick here and there and here. Now, there's an edging along here that I want to get put in. So a little bit dark. Just a little bit, not much. Let's see what this is like. Is that dark enough? I think it might be. There, look at that. That's turned out nice. All right. Okay, now what to do with the sky? I'll tell you what, I'll finish these grasses over here while I'm thinking about the sky. So, let me see now. Poppity pop pop bum. We get a green going at least. We'll see. Tiniest bit of red in it. Just a grey out, a little bit of white just to bring it out a touch. And let's see now. Now what I've used there is some spirits. Right, so a little bit brighter, a little bit more saturated. Coming forward just a bit warmer. Just working this on as I go. Like the idea of this nice big outgrowth here, just this bit here, slightly losing some control. Now I want to darken the base of it a little bit, but I also want it to be a bit warm. A little bit of blue, ultramarine blue, and a little bit of oxide red. And just paint this in here. Okay, now it's a bit too dark, but it's okay. My finger is able to control it a bit better. Brighten it up with just a touch. Let me see here. There we go. That's a bit better. That's a good tone now. Okay. I have a nice large outcrop there of long grass. I'm going to tackle this one down here now. So let's do that. A nice green down here. Nice bright green as well. And slightly knocking the saturation out of it with some raw umber there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a wee look, okay. Just a wee flick here and there, just to test it. Now, you don't want too much on the brush, it'll all come off in a big glob. There we go, look at that. Now lots of these, just get them in. There we go. Telling that story over there of this little embankment of grasses. Not that it's a nice wee story. A few later ones. Okay. Now I'm just thinking, and what I need is a few darker patches again. Just coming up in here, a little bit darker this time, because we're closer in here too, so we are. So we get to see more when we're in here. We get to see more contrast. We get to see more. Whenever you're moving further away, atmosphere is knocking back all the colors and all the contrasts. But as you move forward, and all the heat as well, and as you move forward, your temperatures go up and go down depending on where you're standing, and all your colors are saturated, your contrasts are more. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward. Everything is heightened. Now there are exceptions to that rule. Of course there are. In all rules there are. But generally. That's the way to paint in the darks there. Paint the darks in as grasses too. I'll lighten this just a touch. Just so you can see it a bit better. I'm going to work on this a little bit over here. Now I want some good reds in it here, so I'll do. So this is an old medium size Art Master Sword Series 3000. Now, it's a really old beat up one. And I'm kind of hoping that it's going to leave behind it a lot of scraggly pieces of grass. But we'll see. Let me see now, just here. Boom, 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 boom. Now, what's my problem with that is that it's hard to see. It's becoming quite transparent. So, a little bit of white in it, a little bit of yellow in it, even though it's transparent. Make it just that little bit brighter. Nice and scraggly, and then we'll come along with a I'll come along with a fan brush and just smooth that in and knock it back a touch here and there. Nice and scraggly. And then down here, just work that in just a touch. Okay, now dry fan brush, just gently. Nice and gently, not being rough with it. Okay, now I don't like that. I don't like it because it's just three just sitting there, too obvious. I'll just come in here a little bit. There we go. There we go. Make a bit more of it, as it were. Now, doing the same again. Now, I have to bear in mind that this here, I'm unsure if I'm finished with it. I'll tell you what. You know what? I will do something here. So I will put in the moss that goes along here. Okay. Nice sharp brush. It's just a flat, cheap flat too, but it's sharp enough to do what I want to do. Bum, 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 bum. So it's not bright, but I want this bright enough. So I'll do. Right, so I'm going to just test this up here. So just along here. Am I bright enough there? I don't think I am, at least not here. Maybe when I'm getting it along here, it'll be bright enough. Let me see, let me test it. Yeah, I think that's okay. But I will go a bit brighter actually. Put a little bit of green on it. Okay, let's see now. Okay. That's nice. Just work that in. Now it's nice and shallow, and what I mean by shallow, I don't mean the water is shallow. I mean that the angle, now there's a flat on 90-degree angle that is parallel to the canvas. And the more I turn my brush away from me, the shallower the angle gets. And it's the same with that. Now, the same with this here. What I mean by shallow is that the mosses are, if you look at the brush, the mosses, the angle that we are viewing the mosses from are shallow, like so. That would be a full-on viewing, like a bird's eye view coming down here. And as I view it from this angle, it's a shallow angle. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. The thing about this, the trick about this is to not add too much, which is really one of my very weak points. Once ever I get into this, doing this, I could just add it and add it and add it and add it and add it. Sometimes it's hard to just know where to stop. I'm just checking that I am somewhat happy with everything as it is before I go over this here. Yeah, I think I'm okay with it. Yes. Do 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 do. Okay. So I want you to see this one. So I'm going to make it nice and bright over here. Just coming off this. All right. Now, being careful, folks. Trying to be anyway. I'm going to wipe a little bit off this brush. And put in a bit of an orangey, more of an orangey one down in here. Just because of this red here. All right. Now I'm going to work on this area here with some grasses. Let's get some grasses going. Some nice sagey greens. Now, always remember not to put too much onto your. Oh, there's somebody at the door. Right. Okay. People at the door. People at the door. Right. So, now let's just get some grasses in here. Now. I want a little bit of a dark base here. Here's the long hair. Just plump that in a touch. Plump that in, I don't know what plump that in means. Anyway, right, so now just a couple of alright, just bring that out a little bit. Now, what I want to do is put some dark in it here. A little bit of warmth in it too. Just here. Just far too much. Look at that. Too much on the brush. So I'm going to take that off. Just a touch. There we go. Completely removed it. Okay, now too much on the brush there. So this time. Just creating those little darker patches before I'm putting in the large leaves. Now it's too dark. So again, just knock it back a touch. Now where's my other little brush? Here, this will do. Okay. Just bringing that green down a little bit more. I thought it was a bit too high there. Just reshaping this a little touch. There, okay. Now let's start putting in the grasses. Right, I'm going to try another one of these little, can never remember their name. This is the extended point. I'm going to try it. So, some yellow in it, some black, just to knock it back, some raw umber. Nice and loose, twisting that pointed edge and see if I can get it to behave itself. Okay, let me see here. Alright, what I need is for this to be a bit brighter, but I'm just going to ruffle these edges up along here, just while I have it there. Just a bit brighter now. A bit much, a bit zealous there. Scraggledy, folks. Higgledy-piggledy and scraggledy. Now, the same again for the base, the reflections here, just. Okay. No. I think maybe. Just go along this, just to go over that again, because it looks as if the shadow, or the reflection, sorry, looks as if the reflection is coming up over the top of this rather than the other way around. Alright, okay. I think I'll bring a little bit more grasses up into part of it here. Just up into this area here. Too much on the brush. Too much on the brush. Just covering that, folks. And I think I'm not entirely happy with it, so I'm going to create just this here along here. Aye, bit better now, bit more happier with that. Now what I'm going to do, this moss that I have down here, I'm just going to lay bits of it along here. And I'm going to work this in with my finger, just a bit. Alright. Now do I want to do anything with the sky? Now that I have worked on this, I'll tell you what, I'm going to say no, but if I want to come back, which I may well do, actually I will come back So I won't take the tape off yet. I'll be back for another little jaunt at this soon enough. Well, bye for now. Okay folks, not quite done with this one, but I'm very nearly there. Very nearly indeed. So, just a few more things. I'm not happy with how I ended the sky yesterday, so I'm going to, still a bit wet, but it's okay. Right. So, just going to take it closer to the edges here with a bit of a warmer colour. Just not entirely happy with the way it worked out yesterday. But anyway, isn't that the point of painting? You come back and you go over what you did, and you come back and you go over it, and you come back and you go over it, and so on and so on. Oh yeah, yesterday I messed up with my mics. I answered the door and I took my mic off and sat it down on the desk and forgot to put it back up again. I'll see what I can do in the editing phase. Maybe I'll be able to fix it up a bit. Anyway, so let's get this in. Just a little bit of a warmer. I'm going to put a lot of it in and around the edges. Keeping it warm, keeping those edges relatively sharp. I don't want soft edges too much. Just having a wee look. Yeah, okay, a bit better with this. Yes, feeling a bit better. A little bit of liquid just to help move it around a bit, help dry it a bit faster as well. And just dancing that brush about to create random edges. Alright, a wee bit warmer. Yeah, a wee bit better. At least to my eye anyway, it's a bit better. And just taking a moment here to have a wee think about it and see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the center of what I'm doing here out. I'll do it with a cloth in a second. And I believe that I will be happy enough with this now. So let's take some of the center out. Just a touch, just wiping it off. Now I'm barely touching the canvas here, folks. Just gently. There we go. Alright, so now what's left? I want to do a little bit more with the thingy-majig here. I'm just looking for a brush with the grasses at the front here. I want to do a little bit more with it. Be a little bit more apparent in some of the grasses. So a nice green. Adding a little bit of white to it here. I do want some of these to pop, but I'm going to be a little bit cautious about how much I put in and how bright they are. But I do want some popping. Just creating the idea of it here at the moment. A little bit of mineral spirits to help it move a little bit better off the brush. And then I'm just checking to see if it's too bright. Basically, a nice blade of grass. No, I'm happy with this. If I feel it's too bright, I'll knock it back with a little bit of kitchen towel. Now that's one side. It's just grey out a little tiny bit for over here. You see that now? This all adds a little bit of reality to it. And I want a nice bright one, you know. You know that grass colour that you get? That greyish grass colour. This one here. A little bit thinner mix. Help it move off this brush a bit. Taking a good bit off the brush as well. So, bum. Now, what to do, folks? Am I done? Am I done? Let me see. I just want to take a little moment here. Have a wee look-see here and there, and I think I can see something here that I would like to fix. This tree trunk here. I just want to slightly cover it up, just a bit. So a good dark, cool green here. Let me see. No, it's a bit too bright. Okay, just dragging this over this here. I just want to cover a little bit up, just so it's not just popping there, you know, for no reason. And I think I'm going to this area here. I'm going to darken it down a touch as well. A little bit of liquid. This is more of a glaze. I'm just checking to see if this is dark enough. Yeah, it is dark enough, but it's not grey enough. Okay. I don't entirely know how I feel about that. I think I want to brighten this area up here just a touch of a touch. There's a nice dark there. I want a nice contrast. You have a wee bit of a contrast between this dark and this here. So I want a wee tiny bit more of a contrast there. Let me see. Oh, it's only a bit. It's only going to be a bit later. Bit later than that, though. We see, yep, that's better for me. Looking a bit better. Just patchy, folks. As you get with all grasses, all that patch. Little divots and holes in the ground and whatnot. Helps sell the idea a little bit. And I think that'll do it, folks. I think that'll do for now. Yeah, right, so let's take this off. Okay, and if you could, please like and subscribe. And watch as many of the videos as you can. It helps really with the algorithm. And like if you're heading out to the shops or something, just, you know, stick a video on, let it play in the background. It always helps, so it does. It helps me keep these free. I don't know how long that will continue, but it does help me keep these free, at least for now. Oops, I did. There we go. Oh yeah, and here's another one of my videos that will help you. It'll help you with some of the process. Maybe put a wee sunshiny one up, or grassy fields and skies and clouds, etc. I mean, if you just click on it, I don't know where in the video where it'll be on this side or this side, but you just click on it and it'll lead you to it. Anyway, all the best, folks. Bye for now.